Hello everybody, this is Momo from TheMomoZone here on YouTube. I hope everybody's doing well. Today's video is going to be on something called the fact about available time. I've mentioned quite often how I like to think kind of backwards, and that means that I have a saying that goes, in order for you to figure out what you want, you got to know everything that you don't want, and then you wind up with what you really need. Now, that theory really applies to, experience, because what's going to happen is after you make mistakes and you go through all the stuff that you really don't want, later on in life, you're going to figure out, damn, I just don't want this stuff anymore. And you're going to wind up with what you want, right? But if you apply that system right now from the start, regardless of your age, it's really going to be an interesting way of thinking, and you will get a different result. Now, this all brings me back to why I started thinking like that. I started taking a calculator and I started calculating time in life. So I'm going to give you guys a breakdown here, and I don't want to sound gloomy, but this is just fact. And then you guys can do what you want with it. I know it has helped me out a lot. If we as humans live to, let's pick a number, 80 years old, okay? 80 years old equals 29,220 days, okay? 4,174 weeks of time on this earth if we live to 80. That doesn't sound like a hell of a lot when you look at it that way, but I'm going to break it down even more for you so that you can really freak out. We know as a fact that we're going to be working generally a third of our life, some people more. 1/3 of the time I just gave you equals 9,740 days to work. 1/3, let's assume people are sleeping 8 hours a day. Most people aren't, but if they aren't, then they're working more, so it balances out, right? That's another 9,740 days to sleep. What happens then is we're left with 9,740 days of what I will call for now free time. Free time, that's really not what it is, because let me remind you that we only talked about working and sleeping. This equals 1,391 weeks. Now, this is what's left in our life if we live to 80, and we don't want to talk about work, and we don't want to talk about sleep, because unless you absolutely love your work and you absolutely love who you're sleeping next to, then I will not consider that be like what you will consider to be like a great part of your life. For a lot of people out there who are searching, it doesn't necessarily work. They're looking for more. So now, let us estimate that out of that free time, which is 9,740 days that we have, okay, I'm going to chop off another third for everything else that we have to do. We got to eat. We got to deal with soap opera bullshit, a bunch of stuff that people are just giving us to deal with that we want nothing to do with, which really doesn't improve our life in any way. As a matter of fact, it usually makes us take 10 steps back. So if I chop off another third of that, oof, you guys are not going to like that. Another third of that equals 3,246 days, which really boils down to 8.8 years. Okay, so now the available time to do what we wish with our life on a retirement level, if you want to call it, because as we get older, hopefully you want the Freedom 55 attitude, you want to be able to travel with the one you love, relax, just enjoy the rest of whatever you have left in your life. You know how much that's going to equal, my friends? 17.7 years left. We will have 17.7 years left to do whatever you want in your life after you've gone through the math. Well, I'm going to take it one step further. I'm estimating that there's a lot of people out there who waste even more time than that. So I'm going to chop off 2/3 of the remaining free time of the 9,740 days that are left. I got to tell you that after you chop off 2/3, well, we're left with 3,246 days, which equals 8.8 years of life to basically do whatever you want. Life really is a precious thing. And it's just gonna fly by. You know, when you're younger, days seem to maybe last longer, and you know, you take things for granted. Friends, people, soulmates, opportunities. We make mistakes, and that's okay, as long as we don't make the same mistake too many times, because mistakes are there in order for us to make them so we can learn from them and not do them again. I don't want to sound gloomy, but time is all we have. We don't have enough time to do everything we want. Without sounding like I want to live my life under a microscope or living my life with a time clock, I'm going to recommend that everybody just, you know, be enlightened by this. Be aware of the fact that the clock is ticking. It's like when you're in a recording studio, you know, if you're paying for it, well, the longer you're in there, the more the meter ticks. Before you know it, it costs you $100,000 to do your record. Well, our record one day is just going to stop playing. And hopefully we will have done enough great things with the time that we have allotted that our message, our mission, our legacy can live on through our children, through our friends, through a foundation, anything. I used to be terrified of the thought of dying, and I used to think, like, why would that be? You know, some people just say, well, when my time is going to come, it's just going to come, and that's it. Yeah, you know, it's been glorified on TV, the pain, the tubes coming out of your body. Somebody comes in and shoots you in the head, and you suffer. You leave the one that you love in, like, shambles. I saw my father die just, like, basically in a matter of 2 months. Just went from zero to worse. And the devastated look in my mother's eyes, and how it took her years and years to even be able to function normally. It's not a very pleasant thing. But as I've become more aware of what it is I really want to do with my life, I find that the pain of the fear of dying has kind of started to dissipate. Because I figured that one of the things, besides that nobody wants to go in pain, and it sure would be great for us to go in our sleep or whatnot, is that if you're doing everything that you wanted to do, then you feel like, yeah, I've had a good life. Because of the miracles of the internet, I'm trying to reach out as a producer of life and ideas and inspiration to people out there to take whatever ideas that I can share with you guys and have you guys just use them in your own way, in any way that you can, that makes you feel better, that makes you feel like you're satisfied and you're reaching your goals, you know? And that's why, you know, doing this calculus of numbers and working backwards by figuring out how much time we actually have there. It's pretty much like doing a production, you know, when you think about it. You're going to do a major production, whether it's a movie, a video, an album, a project. Well, you have to say, okay, what's the budget? How much time do we have to do this in? What are my resources? You know, and then you figure it out, and then you execute it, and then it's done. The project is finished. Basically, it had its life, and then it died, and it lives on. Now, it lives on, and it goes out of style, or it lives on, and it stays timeless. I think that the timeless part of it means that you've calculated, you know, that you're just really put in the things that are not going to wear out. True soul, not too many labels. Some things will always live on. Life, memories, great people. That was my little theory on numbers for you, you know. It's I've always been terrible at math, but this is one equation that I gotta tell you I've been living by, and you guys can, you know, use it as you wish. I hope it makes you aware of time around you and not to take things and people for granted, available resources that we have for granted, because one day those things are all going to be gone. Because there's one fact that we can all agree on, no matter what our opinion is. that we are all going to die one day. So while we are here, please, let's make do of what we got, pass beautiful messages, and do the best we can to help the people around us to understand, to move on, so that we can make a better world with all this crap that is happening with this global warming and the negativity of war and, you know, and jealousy and all these evils of mankind that bring us down instead of bringing us up. I've been so enlightened by so many of you people on YouTube who, again, have been so kind by reaching out and telling me private stuff and you know, confiding in me as a person who might be able to help them, and having people respond to me saying that, my God, I have actually changed them and helped them out and changed their lives and their point of view and their outlook and approach on things. And wow, for everything that I never accomplished in music, it's everything that I would have loved to accomplish in life. I want people to live their finished product, no matter, and a finished product doesn't have to be music. It could be your life, you know? We have to set up the chapters of our lives before the book comes to the end. And we control our end credits, just like the movie. You know, at the end of a movie, the credits go up, duck, 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 they're moving up, and you see who's been there and who's been there, and what everybody has done. And I gotta tell you, if we have a bunch of flashbacks when we go, then I want to control the output of my last credits. I want to make sure that my flashbacks are full of laughs and full of incredible things, and making sure that people will remember that I had a positive message and I tried to change the world one person at a time, one bit at a time, or any way that I possibly can. And I pray for all of us that we will all try and do the same, because, you know, all the young kids and all the people that are out there looking at this too as well, you know, I mean, this is your world. You guys are gonna own this world tomorrow. You know, we might be older than you guys right now and, you know, have some kind of seniority for certain things. But believe you me, at the end of the day, you guys are gonna be running it. Pay attention to time. Time will let you get everything done, or time will make you waste your whole life away. So, that's it. Have a great day, and you're on the TheMomoZone here on YouTube, and peace out. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.